Children of the Corn 2023. Is it a good movie? No. This is my movie review for Children of the Corn. Now, this was based on a Stephen King novel or story, and it's a remake that was supposed to come out like 3 years ago, and, well, it finally came out in theaters in limited release this month in March, and it's now on Shudder. The film describes the events of leading up to and including the massacre of the adults of a small town in Nebraska by their children, and their adults' irresponsibility ruins the crop and the children's future. So yeah, this town grows corn. I guess they hint at the fact that there could be a fungus on the corn that could be like, well, corrupting the kids' minds, making them hallucinate about seeing a monster and forcing them to do weird things. I'll tell you this, the acting wasn't terrible. This girl here is our lead character, and she was actually really trying. You know, she was actually trying to make the best out of, there's some of the smoke, the stuff. But then, of course, you know that, the kids do take over. They try to kill, well, they actually do. Like the blood count in this is pretty high. The murders and stuff. This is Eden is our main antagonist leading all of this stuff. My problem with this movie, my main observation, while it does come in at a quick an hour and 30 minutes, the pacing of it just happens so fast. You don't really sometimes get the time to absorb the seriousness of the situation, right? Of what's going on with them. And while she internalizes it, and you get to see her point of view of like, oh my God, these kids are really going off the deep end here. It's just kind of like the setup for it happens so fast. It's kind of like, you know what? The elders in this town, they know that the corn is going bad. It's not generating revenue. We got to change courses here. And it just happens like in the course of like 5 minutes. And then all of a sudden it goes from that to killing. It's like, wow, okay. And you know that there's something off with the kids in the beginning. It's just, this movie lacks in execution. It had a good premise. Children of the Corn had a good premise. It had, good enough acting, but it failed in the execution and the directing from one Kurt Wimmer. This movie was shot a while ago, guys, and it was supposed to come out in 2020. It got shelved. It got put on that, never coming out list, and for good cause. It just wasn't resonating with people. And it finally came out. I got to see it. As I said, I appreciate the acting in it. Eden, Kate Moyer there, a very young actress. She had some menace to her, but it was just kind of, that was taken away from, a lot of her menace was taken away from the monster that shows up, and it just becomes like a farce. It does. And as I said, the main actress here, Elena Kampouris, she was really trying with it, with the material. And I had to look up her credits here because I do want to keep an eye on this girl's career. My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3. They're making a third one of that? Unbelievable. But, as I said, it's not resonating with the fans. It didn't resonate with the fans or the critics. 12% by the critics, 38% by the audience. It's a fast movie, but it's just kind of like it happens so fast that you don't have time to accept the fact that these kids are going to kill everybody. It's kind of like, oh, really? As I said, it goes from one disagreement to killing everybody. And we know that they dropped the suggestion that it's supposed to be, a fungus or something that could be corrupting them. But it's kind of like, it just lacked in the execution. So let's take a look at a good review. It could be a little bigger, a bit bolder, but this Children of the Corn is a marked improvement in quality from a number of entries that came before. Well, the Children of the Corn series had gone through so many, like there's so many sequels out there, it just ran itself into the ground, much like the Hellraiser franchise. And I'll tell you this, guys, I'm fairly lenient when it comes to Stephen King adaptations, because I liked the Firestarter reboot from last year, but people didn't like that. People don't like this. Um, and I'm gonna have to sort of start. I'm gonna have to agree with them on this one. It's just kind of like, man. And then what happens in the third act is just so. You'll be like, what? No. Are you serious? It's one of those endings, right? Yeah. So let's take a look at a bad review here and see if we can agree with this. The little evil girl gives a pretty solid performance in this terrible movie. Yeah, and Eden, the young girl there, as I said, she does play some menace, but it's completely upstaged and ruined by what they do in the third act. Isn't scary or thrilling as its young cast takes on boomers who left their generation with nothing more than a fistful of crop dust. So, yeah. Now, I didn't enjoy it as much as, well, yeah, none of these people actually enjoyed it, but 12% by the critics, it's not that low. It's not a 1 out of 10 movie. 3.8, yeah, I don't even know if it's that low. It's on Shudder. It's a quick hour and 30 minutes. That's a plus for it. At least it's going to go by fast, but it's kind of like, it's not scary. It's just, yeah, these kids killing the adults, and it's kind of like, well, you want them to get the upper hand and have them get their comeuppance, and it just falls flat. So I would give Children of the Corn, I'm being generous with this, guys, a 4.5 out of 10 for Children of the Corn 2023. You can miss this one. Out of all the movies that came out in March, yeah, this one didn't hit the mark. Hopefully the Boogeyman that comes out later this year, another Stephen King adaptation, it does a little bit better. I hear better things about it. So Children of the Corn was supposed to come out 3 years ago, got buried. Should have stayed buried, in my opinion. But it's out there now as a curiosity for people that want to check it out on Shudder. So there you go. That's my review. If you like what you've seen, hit that thumbs up button, guys. Subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Mirror Domains. All right, let's take in some live chat comments, and yeah, whoops. We'll talk about this. Chris Schober says, what did you think about the Children of the Corn? Well, we just talked about that. I thought the first Children of the Corn was the best one of the classic first movie. Yeah, I barely remember the first one. There's Linda Hamilton in it, right? What Children of the Corn is your favorite movie in the franchise? Well, favorite one. I never saw the other ones like Eli Returns or whatever like that, or 777. I never watched those ones, so yeah, I guess I'd have to go with the first one, even though I barely remember. I know it was lower budget. It was like really lower budget too, right? Yeah. It is what it is. All right, that's pretty much all I got in the can for today, guys. There was that other story about Five Nights at Freddy's saying that it waited too long to get adapted to the big screen. It was just an opinion piece. We know that this is coming down the pike. We know that this is happening. It's coming out this year, so it's just an opinion piece. The trailer for this should be coming out soon, I would think. I would hope. I hope it does. Okay, well, guys, I hope you've gone out and seen Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know if I'm going to do a spoiler review. Pay attention later today, because I will be posting my ranking of all the movies that I've seen in March. I've seen 9 in March. It was a busy month. Looking ahead at April, there's not many on the docket there. I don't think we're going to have 9 movies in April. Who knows? We'll have to see. Obviously, I think you guys know now what's going to be my least favorite film of March. But it was a close call as to what's going to be number 1. Just taking a quick look at the old Twitter universe to see if I missed anything out there. Joseph Quinn for Dior. Dior had a nice cologne out called Higher, but they don't make it anymore. I like Dior's Higher. Not a big fan of their recent stuff. Tom Holland attends something in Mumbai. NMAAC Gala in Mumbai. Okay. Zendaya was there as well. Of course, you know that they're an item. Damn, Tom Holland is one lucky man. Zendaya, Oh, that sounded gross, James. You shouldn't smack your lips like that. Zendaya attends in Mumbai. Well, what, I don't know what that is. That some kind of award show? Um, one of my favorite actresses. I really should have watched Euphoria when I had HBO Max there again recently, or Crave. I just it was about drugs and people being under that, and I was kind of like, I don't know if I really want to get into a series where it's kind of like a downer every episode, right? Um, People fighting their addictions. But I hear good things, and she's won awards for it, so it's kind of like someday I'll go watch it. Euphoria. Arglass says, I watched Tetris last night, one of the best movies of the year in my opinion, not a horror, but the suspense of Argo vibe with Social Network. Oh yeah, Tetris came out yesterday on Apple TV Plus, right?